What is going on, everybody? This is BroncoJuggalo, and welcome to the first episode of One on One with BroncoJuggalo. And I'm very honored to say that my special guest today is indie actress, and of course, it wouldn't be a stream without something going wrong. I forgot to turn off the YouTube behind the camera.
Oh, hey, say the way you pronounce my name, it's Dilynn.
Really? Wow. See, I'm learning something new already. So it's Dilynn Fawn Harvey.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's awesome. Guys, once again, as I was saying, my special guest today is Dilynn Fawn Harvey, and I am extremely honored to have her on. She is so awesome. How are you today, ma'am?
I'm doing excellent, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been a very quick day going, you know. So, guys, like I said, I wanted to thank you all for joining us, and I want to thank Miss Harvey for joining us. We're going to be asking her some questions, and then at the end of the segment, we will open it up to you guys for questions for just a little bit, and we'll see how this goes. And hopefully, everything will be a success, and Miss Harvey will consent to join us once again and not totally block us or try to have us killed or anything like that. So, the very first thing that I wanted to ask you, because I've wondered about it for a while now, is obviously you have a very good relationship with director Todd Sheets, and you do a lot of stuff with him, a lot of stuff with Extreme Entertainment. You're pretty much like one of his favorite people to work with, I've noticed.
Yeah.
What started that? How did that all come about? And are you under like contract to Extreme, or do you just work with him a lot?
Well, I say about 6 years ago, roughly 5 or 6 years ago, right before I met them, I was actually doing shorts in Kansas City with other directors out there, just trying to get my feet wet, because I didn't start really acting until about then. I did a small part about 2008, I think it was. I played like a real small part in a feature for like a stripper at one point, but that's all it was until about until I did Sleepless Nights with Amanda. But like I said, I decided now that my kids were older and more self-sufficient, I can get out and do more, because I wanted to make sure that they were, well taken care of before I even ventured out to do things for myself. But once they were old enough, I went ahead and started doing little stuff down in Kansas City, some shorts. I worked with Baron for a little bit. I did a Spider-Man fan film with him. And then I did a short film called Little Girl Lost. And did all kinds of small stuff with them out there. And then I saw an ad, a casting for The Crawler for Sleepless Nights by Amanda Payton. And I answered that, and I went and said, hey, I'm interested. And she said, come on down to the studio, and we'll do your audition out there. So I'm like, okay, great. So I went out there with my husband, nervous as heck. This is like probably my second or third audition of ever. So I'm still so full of nerves. And I get out there, I see all these girls out there that, to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so edgy and, pretty and got their own quirky looks. And I'm sitting there looking like plain Jane next door, like, okay. I'm probably the only blonde that was in the room. Everybody had like tattoos and everything. I'm just like, who are they looking for? So I have no idea who they were looking for. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll just, have fun. And that's what I did. I went in, tripping on everything I could think of, trying to speak. I was tripping over my tongue, my lips, whatever was in the way. It was there. But I did what she asked me to do, as far as reading the lines go. And I got through it, and I didn't faint. So that was great. And that's when I met Amanda. I met Todd Sheets before I realized who he was. I just saw a big, tall guy, and I'm like, didn't know who anybody was. Didn't know who Antoine was, but he was there. The whole gang was there at the time. And the only person I was really focusing on was Amanda at the time, because she was the one I thought I was supposed to just impress,
Right.
That was her segment. So I went home, and I'm like, okay, I'll just try to forget about it, because I'm so excited. I didn't even think anything of it, to be honest. I didn't think I was going to get a part. And she told me they were going to tell everybody on Monday. I did it on that Saturday. So early that Monday morning, and in fact, it might have even been the next day. I don't even think I had to wait as long as she said, because I remember my husband was sleeping in. So I think it was actually the next day. That Sunday, I happened to be online. And I was looking. I seen her cast come up saying that the roles had been casted. So I went up to look, and the first thing I saw was my name at the top as Enid. I was like,
oh, nice.
Shit, what? I was so shocked. And I was like, I kind of hoping to get any part, but I was not expecting to get the lead part. So I was just like, so I ran into the bedroom, and I seen that my husband was still sleeping. So I'm like, I want to wake him up so bad. And I just stood there staring at him like,
right.
And I think he got the sense of the force, and he just opened up in his eyes and goes, what? I said, I got the part. He's like, oh crap. And he covered up his head with that.
It's kind of one of those situations where you're like, wake up, you bastard. I got something to tell you.
So it was just like, I'm like, you're awake now, buddy. Hey, I got the part. I got the part. I just started dancing around the circles. Going, I got the part. I got the part. So I was super, super stoked for that. And that's just how I met them. And then after I did their segment, I got to meet Antoine a little bit. Antoine sends me a message wanting me to know if I could be in his short, It Hits the Fan, which I didn't realize was part of Sleepless Nights. Like, I had no idea these parts were coming together because I didn't know how things worked. I was still learning everything. I thought these were separate things. So I'm like, oh, sure, yeah, I'll be in your short, yeah. And then he tells me the name in Hits the Fan. It was Zombie Ho. I'm like, oh, okay. I looked at my husband, and he's like, what? I go, you want to know what my name is in this segment? He goes, what? I go, Zombie Ho. He goes, what? I was like, yeah. He goes, what?
Haven't even finished the first one, and you're already being called a hoe.
I know, right? So needless to say, my husband does not like that character's name. But throughout time, he's kind of adjusted to it, so it's not a big deal to him anymore. Not as much as it was in the very beginning, because to him, I'm up here. So, right. And to me, I feel like I'm down here with everybody else, but not to him. He's got his own.
That's the way wives are. We put them all up there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and that brought you into Todd, and because he was doing the overview of he was doing the anthology.
Yeah. And, he was doing everything together, and then I'm not sure how much longer it was. Trying to remember which one we did first. I think it might have been Dreaming Purple Neon. He sent me a message. I'm getting my timelines mixed up between the Muse for Death, High Death. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can't remember which one I did first.
I think Dreaming Purple Neon came out first. I'm not sure which one you did first.
Yeah, it came out first, but High Death had so many different segments from other people from around the U.S. that it took a long time. And I remember we got ours out pretty quickly. Right. So,
and I know you watched my review of that. I just saw that for the first time not too long ago. Yeah, I just saw High Death for the first time.
That was fun. That was very interesting. That was one of the ones that when I started my scene, when it was time to get one-on-one with my other character, because I play call girl in that. When it was time to get one-on-one with him, my husband just stepped out the door because there's some scenes that husbands don't want to watch. But he's very supportive, so he knows when to leave. So
I asked my wife the same thing because I like to act too. And I was like, I said, I'm doing this movie, right? I'm putting together this movie, and I'm going to be in it. I'm starring in it. I'm acting in it. I'm doing all this stuff. I was like, if I have to, you called that. She's like, I don't know. But I was like, it's just acting. It's part of the job. It's just, it's just. So, you know what? That actually wiped out my whole second question because you explained. My whole second question was about how you got with Amanda and how you did the, the crawler and Sleepless Nights. So I'm going to throw a curveball at you. I'm going to throw at you right here at the beginning of the interview. So I saw on because I don't do Facebook. I have a Facebook account that I didn't even know I had. And I only opened that so I could download the messenger part.
Right.
I don't like, that's why I haven't accepted anybody's friend requests. Everybody's like, why don't you accept my friend request? Because I don't do Facebook.
Understandable. Yeah.
But I saw on your Facebook, my friend sent me the thing where you said you were promoting this interview.
Uh-huh.
And the first thing I saw on your Facebook page was this message that said, my husband goes through my stuff first to clear out all the bad and do you get a lot of that? I mean, maybe do you get a lot of like gross or inappropriate or perverse like
Um,
weirdos?
on my personal page, I don't get a whole lot of those. Once in a blue moon, I will. But on my like page, that's open to everybody, that's very public, I
Mm-hmm.
was getting some of those for a little while in the beginning. So that's why I said that. Just I'm like, be very clear that because my husband will help me run my page, because a lot of times I'm out trying to study scripts or whatever, and I don't have time to keep up with my page. So he'll do that for me. He'll upload pictures for me, or he'll just try to keep it active for me. He'll
Right.
read some of my messages. If it's something important from a new director, possibly, he'll let me know. And so I tell people, I say, hey, if you don't want to be embarrassed, don't send me inappropriate messages. That's all there is to it. Because
Right.
he'll read it, I'll read it, and we'll both laugh, have a good laugh together. You
Right.
know? I mean, I know, and I won't call anybody out about it. You know, people are going to be people. I just ignore it and I go on. So to
So
me, it is what it is.
like we had a stream last night. We'll get inappropriate with our friends,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
That's one.
but
That's different.
that's messing around with your friends. I've never understood that why people do that, or they send pictures of things and all that to people. But I was curious. I wasn't going to ask you about that originally, but it popped in my head while I was talking. So
Yeah, no problem.
the next thing I wanted to ask you was, and I'm going to put this in a weird way because I think I'm funny, and I'm probably not, but I think I am. So when you were a tiny little redhead or blonde girl sitting on the couch watching Little Mermaid and drinking Yoo-hoo, did you ever think that you would be a horror actress? Were you into horror at all, or was that anything you ever wanted to do?
Yeah, not in a million years that I think I'd be doing horror movies. Because that's funny you mentioned that, though. Because when I was younger, like super, super young, before teenage years, whatever, we weren't allowed to watch horror movies with my mom. My
Okay.
mom didn't allow. And the first horror movie I actually watched was Nightmare on Elm Street 1 and 2. And during the second one, this was probably about first or second grade now. And we were being babysat by a teenager who put the
Okay.
movie on. My mom came home towards the end of Nightmare on Elm Street 2, and she was livid. She was
Oh,
so pissed. Oh, God, she was so mad. And I tell you what, I actually ended up having the same nightmare 3 days in a row after that.
oh wow.
And I can tell you exactly how it went. It was a very short dream, but it was the exact same sequence 3 nights in a row. I was walking, alone, of course, down the street, and I come to a building that kind of was a big building. And when I went inside, it was bright because it was dark outside. I was obviously walking at night, apparently. So when I go inside this building, it's brightly lit up, and it looks like a huge mall. And then inside this big opening area, inside this huge mall, is this box. Curiosity strikes, right? So I go up there, and I open up this box, and out pops Freddy Krueger and starts chasing me, and that's when I wake up.
Wow. So did that fan the flames at all, or did that say no? Get me out of this crap. I don't want to look at this again.
It was kind of freaky, but it didn't deter me from wanting to watch more later on when I got older. In fact, I got very
Right.
intrigued with Nightmare on Elm Street, to the fact that it's actually my favorite series to watch.
Oh,
I love
really? That's
Dream.
actually a question I was going to ask you. What was your
Yeah,
favorite?
yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street is my favorite. Dream Child is probably my most favorite, number 5. And that's
Oh,
my
I
very
love you to death. Divorce your husband. I'm going to divorce my wife right now. We're getting married. That is, I just had
huzzah.
this huge conversation just the other day with another YouTuber that I know about how I love part 5, and and it's one of my favorite ones. I love that movie.
That is my
So
very first. That was my very first VHS to own, actually, and I got it when I was
cool.
16. My grandfather took me out to the family video that he had owned at the time, and he told me I could pick any video I wanted. So I picked out that one, and he looked at me. He's like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure." And I just been in love with that since. So
That's awesome. That is
yeah.
so awesome. See, you're wiping out. We're going to be done quicker than I thought because you keep wiping out my questions.
But back on when I was a kid, when dreaming of being an actress and stuff, and I always grew up with more Disney movies, family movies, because before I hit teenage years, my mom and my real dad were together at the time, and he was on between jobs all the time, so we didn't have electricity a lot, and we were lucky to even have a TV. So when we did have a TV, they would rent a VCR from the local library and a few Disney tapes or whatever they had on hand for our birthday parties and stuff. So we would do those. So for the longest time, that was basically what it was, or whatever reruns were on TV, like Dukes of Hazzard or MacGyver, Star Trek. Love Star Trek. It's one of my favorite things to watch. The original.
I remember those days.
Mm-hmm.
I came from that single broken home too, where we had to rent the things from the library or if we could, and we'd get the 2 for $1 at the video store if it was on.
Yeah.
I remember those days. Those were the good days, though.
Then when my parents divorced, she got remarried to my stepdad, and that's when we actually had actual electricity all the time. We actually had TV all the time. So we still weren't really allowed to stay up past a certain time. We weren't really allowed to watch HBO or anything like that, even though now we have cable. So that was new to me, and I was excited. So when they went to bed, I would sneak downstairs to see what was on HBO or Cinemax. And I came across this movie. I'm having a brain fart, but it's got Lynnea Quigley in it. But I didn't know who she was at the time. All I know is the old man that was in it scared the shit out of me from eating apples ever again on Halloween. Because it was when he was putting little razor blades in the apple. Night of the Demons, I think it was.
Night of the Demons.
And I didn't know the name of it. All I know is I came into the movie before the title, and I just remember that scene scared the shit out of me. I was like, oh my God, people really do that? No wonder Mom won't let us eat fruit on Halloween.
Right.
So that scarred me a little bit. And then I watched this other one called The Curse with, that kid from Star Trek Generations. Can't remember his name either. I have a brain fart, sorry. Yeah, Will Wheaton. I watched that when I was younger too. That one also scarred me. So whenever I peel potatoes and there's black stuff in it, I throw the whole thing away. Won't eat it.
Oh, wow.
Nope, won't eat it.
So, well, you know what? That actually brings up my next question is, what was it like to work with Lynnea Quigley, who is basically a legend in the indie horror and the horror, genre? And what's it like to work with somebody like that?
That was amazing. She is the biggest sweetheart in the world. She's got the biggest heart. She is so sweet. She is so nice. She's the biggest animal lover you could ask around. She loves everything, everybody. She's a big sweetheart. Like she's always so very supportive. Like she's like, oh, keep going. You got this. She's so sweet. She's a sweetheart.
Right. That's awesome because, I've been watching her since I was a little kid. So to see you guys in a movie together was really cool.
That was awesome. It was one of my best days of my life when I was working there. I was like, oh, this is so cool.
Out of all the movies that you've done, and I was very lucky to be, Todd he emailed me and he asked me to do a review for Final Caller prior to it ever being released. And I was super stoked to do that. And I was really super stoked when I learned that you were going to be in it again. And by the way, I think your performance in that movie was freaking awesome. I thought I still think that might be your best one yet.
Oh, thank you.
That I've seen. I like that one a lot. I have to ask you.
I almost didn't get to be a part of that. My husband had back surgery. He had spinal fusion last year. And was during that they were trying to production together. I told them, I said, hey, my husband's going to have back surgery. I'm going to be needed for a few months. I won't be able to do it. So I put all my acting on the back burner to take care of my husband for a few months because he was going to need 24-hour round-the-clock care. And I told Todd, I said, I would love to, but as soon as I get the green light and he's doing okay on his own, I'll let you know. Well, I guess some stuff came up on their end too, so they didn't really get started on anything until about, I think, February, I think it was. So during December and January, as my husband's getting slightly better, able to walk on his own anyway, finally my husband was like, hey, I don't want to be the one to be in your way. I want you to go do what you can. If Todd's still doing this movie, tell him that you're available. I said, are you sure? He goes, yes, I'm okay. I've already taken you away from your dreams as it is too much. I said, no, you haven't, honey. You're my husband. So Kim and I, we've got this support system. Like we're really supportive of each other as much as we can be. You know what I mean? So I told Todd, I said, okay, Jeff said he's okay. We've been to the doctors a few times. I don't have to be there 24 hours. And the kids are home. you know, so especially since the remote started, can't talk, COVID started to barely kick in at the time. So, but the kids were still home and we weren't under quarantine yet. So I told Todd, I said, hey, I'm available if you need me. He's like, okay, I have this part for you. Originally, he was going to give me a smaller part, but then he decided he wanted me to be the security guard. And I guess he had a guy lined up for it, and he told me, never mind. So he put me in it instead. So I was like, okay, yeah, this is great. I'll do it. Of course, I had COVID, you know, downtime way because I went through a bit of a depression because the doctors mixed up my husband's prescription, and that was not fun. That's a horse of another color for another day.
Your death scene.
But yeah, I ended up being able to. Huh?
Yeah, the death scene in that was so much fun.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun. There was a part where they had the nail in my foot, and it was pretty cold. It was in the basement, and I was shivering really hardcore. And Alex was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm okay." And I'm just shivering, right, and just waiting for them to say action. And as soon as it's action, I'm stopping. I'm in character. So that was a lot of fun, though. Jack was cracking me up.
Right. That brings up, you know, what I wanted to ask you. What is the favorite of the films that you've done? What's your favorite one so far?
My favorite one so far has got to be Bone Hill Road. I absolutely love changing into that werewolf. I loved the transformation. That was a lot of hard work as far as getting my body to twerk. I ended up not really tearing any muscles, but straining some muscles because I wanted to get that real effect look going. You know, method actors.
Yeah, that was actually the first movie I saw you in. That was Bone Hill Road was the first one I saw you in. And that's
probably my favorite. And I got to go, we tried doing most of the FX in Kansas City. We just didn't quite have the right tools for the face bubble and the stretching or the fingers or the hands. So Todd was talking to Joe Castro, and Joe's like, hey, I would love to help out with this. So they flew me out to LA to work with Joe. And before I even got there, he had my face already molded just by looking at my pictures. That's how talented he is. He already had a whole separate face for me to put on. I was like, that's cool.
That is really awesome. I think that the werewolf effects in that film. Now, everybody, of course, will compare them to, like, any werewolf movie gets compared to The Howling or to American Werewolf in London. But I think the werewolf effects in that movie were really, really good. I thought they did a great job on it.
Thanks. I do too. Yeah. I love the way the face went. I love the bubbling in the face. That was fun. That whole makeup session took about 3.5 hours to get on. And then the filming, I think, took about another hour, 2 hours to do, I think. And then the bubbling was so much fun watching my face do weird stuff. And then he did a side profile of the transparent part of the werewolf where he would take his hand into the puppet and just stretch the face out. That was cool. And then getting them to watch my foot stretch out was neat. Oh, that was fun.
Yeah. I'd probably be like, oh, okay, that's making me queasy. Watching my own foot, like.
It was a blast. I think my second favorite would be playing Queen Abaddon and Jimmy Purple Neon.
Well, that's awesome.
I wish that there was more of a bigger part in that one, but I still have fun. Now, my first favorite short that I ever did was Little Girl Lost by Allie Dunlop, and you can find that free on YouTube. It's on YouTube right now, so
I'll have to look into that one because I didn't hear about that when I did the research for this. The first thing I saw you did was the crawler and all, and I didn't. It's not.
Yeah, it's not on IMDb. It's just a project she did in Kansas City on her own. She hasn't really. She just posted it on YouTube. That's about all she did with it. So, yeah. But I can send you a link to it if you want to watch it. But that was one of my favorites.
Awesome.
I played Lilith in that one. That was fun. That was my first actual speaking role right before, I think it was, or was it my second? I think it was my second speaking role. I did that right after the crawler.
That would be awesome. I would love to see that.
Okay, I'll send that to you a little later then.
So aside from, we're just going to cut Todd out here. Aside from Todd, and aside from Amanda, and aside from Antoine or Anthony,
And
If you had a dream director you could work with, who would it be?
ooh, hmm, that's a good question.
It doesn't have to be horror either, just anybody, anything you want to do.
It's probably I don't know, maybe Steven Spielberg.
Nice. He's definitely one of the best for a reason. I mean,
But there's so many movies out there that I love, but I don't know if I actually have a favorite, to be honest.
mhm,
Everything to me is like Wonderworld out there.
mhm.
Oh, I know. My favorites of all time. My biggest dream, if it ever came to that, and if he ever started directing anything again, which I wish he would be Mel Brooks. He is on
Oh,
my
okay.
people.
Once again, I love you again.
Yeah, Mel Brooks is my favorite. I love him so much. I mean,
Me too.
I tried watching some of his earlier stuff. They're kind of hard to find. But I love Men in Tights. I love Spaceballs. I love the Frankenstein machine movies.
I know. I think at Walmart right now they have the Mel Brooks collection, which has almost all the films in it.
Oh, very cool. I'll have to go check that out.
Yeah, they have it at Walmart, or they did at least. I'm not sure. I'm a huge Mel Brooks fan myself. My wife and I are actually going to be reviewing Mel Brooks films coming up shortly. She wants
Oh,
to join
right
me in
on.
those. It'll be her
Yay.
first reviews. You have a project that you're actually working on, or you were working on right now, called Backwood Bubba.
Backwards Bubba, yeah. I'm actually, my parts are done with that. That was back in September. He is still doing, I think he has one more scene. I'm not sure if he's done that yet or not, but last I heard he had one more scene to do. And then he should be starting to be able to concentrate on editing that, because he is working on some other projects as well. But we're hoping to have that done by, he didn't really give a time frame, so I'm going to guess maybe summer is what he's hoping for.
Right.
So I don't
Without
know.
giving the super secrets away, what can you tell us about that movie? Are we looking at a slasher? Or?
Yeah, it's a slasher. It's a slasher. He compared it to Jason type movies.
Lost in the Woods kind of deal, Killer in the
Yeah.
Woods. See, those are the fun ones, man. Those are the fun ones.
He wears a mask. He's got one eye that you can see out, that he sees out of. The rest of the face is covered. Psychopath. He kidnaps a bunch of women, and he puts them in cute, sexy animal clothes, costumes, whatever, and then he'll have them chained up in a basement or a garage or something, and then he releases them, and they try to run away, and he hunts them down. That's his sport. He hunts them like animals.
Are you playing the final girl, or is this just a supporting role?
I'm not gonna give away I'm not gonna give away the
Okay. Okay.
You're just gonna have to watch it.
Any other future projects that you can talk about, that you're allowed to talk about? Anything coming up?
I have a project coming up, but we're not allowed to say much since I signed a non-disclosure agreement on it.
Okay.
But it's a pretty big project, and we're hoping to get some pretty big names in it. I really wish I could tell you, but I can't.
Well, if it's directed by Todd Sheets, you just tell him and remind him that he promised me a role in the next film.
Oh, I would tell him. Yeah.
He promised me a role after I reviewed Clownado for him. He promised me a role, so.
He's got several projects coming that he's going to hope to get done this year. So I know this is a major project. I can tell you, if you have Amazon Prime, you're ahead.
Okay, cool.
You'll be happy to have it.
Well, guys, look out for that. Look out for future projects from Miss Dilynn from Amazon Prime. So I have one more question of my own, and then I have one question from my partner in crime, Bill. I don't know if you've ever seen any of the stuff he and I do together, but he had a question for you too. My final question is, aside from your acting and your modeling, do you have any hobbies or anything that you like to do? Just fun stuff?
I've taken hikes, and that's actually pretty recent that I started doing last year. When my husband was trying to go through therapy and stuff, and walking was one of his therapy projects, was just going for walks. We started going to nature trails I had never been to before. Usually we just walk around the lake. So that's my biggest hobbies, is the gym or walk around the lake. Then I found this trail that I'd never been on before. They call it the Governor's Trails here in Topeka. By the way, I'm from Kansas.
Yeah.
And so we started walking around the nature trails, and I just fell in love with the scenery. It's just so beautiful out there that's like my favorite thing to do. I go out there and walk like 6 miles if I can, 8 miles if I have the time. It's just gorgeous. I love the peaceful tranquility out there.
You know, if I did that, maybe I'd look more like you and less like me. So my partner, Bill, like I said, I don't know if you've ever watched any of our stuff that he and I do together. He's been my best friend since like the 3rd grade. I've lived here off and on a lot of my life. I've moved a lot. He has a question. You might notice him. He's very hard to miss. He wears a Deadpool mask in all of our reviews. He wanted to ask you, because he's a big fan as well. He loves all your stuff. And he wanted me to ask you, who would you want to be killed by on screen? Any character, any genre. Who do you want to kill you one of these days?
Freddy Krueger. That'd be cool.
Nice. I love Freddy. Freddy was my favorite as a kid. Michael kind of took over, but Freddy's still right there, you know?
Yep.
Gotta love Freddy. Well, guys, this is the part of the segment. We once again want to thank Miss Harvey for coming on, but we're going to open it up to the chat. And if you guys have any questions for Miss Harvey, just put them in the chat and I will read them off to her. With all the people that said that they were going to be watching this, I was hoping that more would have come by on the live. But the thing about these things is they always get more afterwards.
Yeah.
No, I would not be a great final girl. Okay, let's see. Oh, that's Craig. He's just joking, but yeah. Probably that you're in Australia. He wanted to know what you like about Aussie men. Probably that they're over there and not here.
Well, I don't know. I haven't really personally met anyone in person. As far as I know, they're cool.
He would like to know if you've ever been to Australia.
I have not. I would love to one day, but I have not been there.
Have you been able to travel anywhere really cool since you started doing filming?
Not outside the U.S. I've only been to California and to Virginia for filming so far.
Okay.
I mostly go to Missouri a lot because that's where Todd and Amanda are based out at. So right. I do an hour and a half of traveling, depending on where we're locating at. 2 hours sometimes for drive time, and then 2 hours back. So, but yeah, the farthest I've been.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Go ahead.
Yeah, but as far as filming goes, it's just been California, Burbank, and Virginia.
Okay.
So
Horrific Nightmares Jam would like to know, have you had any formal acting training?
Nope. I wish I did, but no, I don't. I'm learning as I'm going.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
You know, you're obviously doing something right because you're in movies.
I hope so. I've been doing my very best of studying the people on the horror movies and stuff because, like I said, I didn't grow up with horror movies, and then I didn't even realize how much gore stuff was actually out there until I met Todd. And then when I met Stephen Biro, oh, good Lord, I really found some stuff out there after I met him. I had no idea some of these movies existed, or should they exist? But yeah, my eyes have opened quite a bit since I started getting into horror movies. But the biggest horrors I knew about mainstream was like Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. But then after I met Todd and I started, zombie movies were my least favorite growing up. Hated zombie movies. They scared the shnikes out of me. I would have nightmares about zombies all the time, and it's one of those you're running slow motion, you can't move because your feet are so heavy. Meanwhile, these zombies are chasing so fast after you, you just can't get away fast enough.
And then I was gonna say, and then you go and do Zombie Rampage 2.
And then I did Zombie Rampage 2.
Which is actually my least favorite of the movies. I just didn't. It's not my. I'm also weird. I'm not a big zombie fan, but it's like it was almost like. I loved you in the movie. I thought you were great. Thanks. I thought, but like you could tell that Todd didn't direct that one.
Yeah, that one had a lot go wrong. Oh my God. So many things went wrong with that. It wasn't even funny. We were trying to match the quality of the film from the 90s because we had it mashed up from the old film, the film footages. And so the acting had to be about the same. So we did the best on that. And then the makeup had to be the same as from the 90s. We tried to do everything we could, and then we had people not show up that were supposed to show up. The little girl that was on there, her dad or somebody pulled her out early, and in the middle of her scenes and stuff when she was kicking butt, and then she didn't show up. So we're like, okay, we don't know what happened to her officially. Someone said she was pulled out. Someone said she wanted to go to a concert. I'm not sure what happened. All I know is we ended up killing her off. And then we ended up having somebody come in as a body double. I believe Sheila did the body double for her, just put black hair on to make it look like she was killed. And then the main bad guy didn't show up for the last scenes for the big finale. So we had to be like, he disappeared, literally, to finish the movie. Like, there is no closure for his character being gone at all.
I kind of noticed that. I noticed that just a little bit. I was like, yeah, where'd he go?
We have no idea. He just no-showed.
I'm actually going through Todd's earliest films, his first films right now. I was lucky enough, one of my friends who I believe is still in the chat, Hobbs Horror, he was able to get his hands on the early trilogy of Todd's work.
Zombie Bloodbath?
The Zombie Bloodbath trilogy, and I got them, and I'm really stoked to have them. But man, it is cool to see how far he was from where he was then to where he is now. So, and that goes for everybody. But so Mr. Ben Grimm actually has two questions for you. The first one is, do you have to do any voice training or vocal exercise or anything like that for like a big screaming scene?
No. All my screams are natural. I do those all without any practice.
Nice. Does it ever hurt?
It doesn't hurt, but I have lost my voice for a few days.
I tried to get my wife to do some screaming for a segment where, what movie? I don't remember what movie it was I was reviewing. I think it was The Hitcher. And I wanted her to play somebody picking up the hitchhiker, and I'm trying to stab her through the window. And I'm like, scream. And she's like, ah, ah. I was like, no, scream.
That's so funny because when we did Backwards Bubba, poor Brad was not prepared for my scream when it was time for me to scream. So I blew his ears out. So I ended up faking my scream at one point so he would just dub it in later. And then at the second time I needed to scream, I went like this, like I was in shock, so I could scream into my hands so I wouldn't blow out a speaker.
Nice. Horror DVD Devil would like to know, what's it like to work with Todd Sheets?
Oh, it's fun. Todd is very patient. He is he's so nurturing when you get flustered, and he's just like, just take a minute to breathe, just try to get into character. Like, he'll just try to talk you through it as best as possible. And he's just very calm, and he's just, like I said, he's just so nice. And the patience is the biggest key right there. When you have patience for everybody and you're trying to get everybody to work together as a team, that's just number one ideal right there. Right. He's very caring. And
that's awesome.
He'll never make you do anything that you're not comfortable doing. Like when he'll send me a script and it'll call for a nude scene, I'm like, Todd, I don't do nudity, right? He goes, no, I know you don't. It's just, you can just do topless. I just wrote that in as it is. You don't have to take it as full nudity because I'll do implied nude, but I won't do full on nudity. Like for Dreaming Purple Neon, when I did the birthing scene, and I was supposed to be completely naked coming out of the body. I had pantyhose on and some netting around.
Right.
So it looked like I was nude without actually being naked. So plus in that particular town, there was a no nudity clause anyway, which is why we ended up having nipples over, or horns over our nipples. Yeah. Because
so there are actual rules about that in certain towns you film in.
Yes, in the Bible state. Yep.
Wow. Kansas, I don't know if there's anything like that here, but if there are, I have totally ignored it.
I don't know if it's a rule for every single town. I just know for that particular town it was. So
Wow.
we had, like I said, that's why they came up with the horns over the nipples, just to
Well,
cover.
I've said that in lots of movies where you can like, they're supposed to be doing this hardcore sex scene, but you can tell that she's wearing underwear, and that, it's like,
Yeah,
if you're gonna do that, at least try to edit it out a little bit or cut it to where you don't show, keep the illusion alive.
yeah.
Oh, so let's see. There was another one there. Ben Grimm would like to know, in your free time, if you watch any YouTube channels, who do you like to watch?
I've been watching Jessica Cameron a lot lately with her DIY stuff. She's been
Okay.
on quarantine, so she hasn't been able to do any movies lately. So she's been doing her at-home stuff for like face tightening and stuff like that, cosmetics and stuff that she could do at home. But when she starts doing, I think when she starts actually doing more films, she'll be doing less of that and probably just doing more cosmetic makeup stuff reviews. And then I watched this other channel called Gabriel. He's new, so I can't remember his whole name. It's Gabriel Travels or something like that. I love watching his travel channel, and it goes around traveling everywhere, and he just does little tours of everywhere he's going. And then when I'm missing LA, I'll watch tours of LA and the Hollywood stars walk.
Yeah.
And then I watch your channel, and then I watch
Oh, thank you.
Dave Maggot. I watch his
Okay,
channel.
now something about Dave Maggot, I'm not sure if you know or not, but he's a film director.
Oh, okay.
He is
I
he
think
is
I've
an indie
seen.
film director. His movie, he's done a few movies. His big release was Groundhog.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's about a killer who something happens to him on Groundhog Day, and he literally starts dressing as a groundhog and killing people.
Oh,
And it's a fun, really awesome film. Hey, speaking of Dave, there he is right there. He just popped up.
hi, Dave.
Um, he actually, and I know this is your interview, but I'm about to talk about myself. I'm self-promoting here. He actually was able to be a part of an anthology film as a director for a film called Theater of Gore 2, done by Tony Newton. And that movie is actually available over on the Trauma streaming service.
Oh, okay.
And I'm in that movie. I actually have I actually have the biggest speaking role in the film.
Oh, nice.
And personally, I think I'm the best actor in the movie, but that's just my opinion. But if you want to see what not to do in a movie, just go watch me.
Very cool.
But no, so like, yeah, I know that if Dave if you're ever in the Boston area, hit up Dave. I'm sure he'll have a part for you.
Oh, definitely.
So, guys, is there any more questions out there for Miss Harvey? Anybody else? My wife says hello.
Hi.
She just joined the chat. Miss Harvey can't see the chat, guys. She can't see the chat, so you gotta put your questions in. I'll read them to her. My wife told me, she's like, because I was telling her about what you said on your Facebook post, about your husband reading the things, and I was telling her about the roles that you do and things. My wife isn't into horror,
Right.
and I put on Clownado once while we were eating, and she started to see, and the first thing she sees is one of the big gore scenes, and she literally almost throws up her food, and she told me to turn it off.
Oh.
I was like, come on. But I told her, I was like, well, she does these kind of movies and she does this kind of stuff. And I was like, I told my friends last night, I said, man, this is like for me, because I like your stuff so much. And as much as I'm into independent horror, I was like, having her on is like, for me, when I was younger, having Pamela Anderson on.
Oh.
When I was younger,
I
Pamela
love
Anderson was
Pamela Anderson.
So my wife was like, don't you dare ask her about her boobs. Like, I'm not going to. I just said Pamela Anderson.
I love Pamela Anderson. I loved her. I love the Stripperella cartoon, and I love Barbed Wire. My favorite.
Oh, me too. Still love it.
Yes.
I told her, I told the guys last night, I said, the only difference is with Dilynn, you don't get the Hep C or the Kid Rock after stink.
Very true.
Sorry, that was very inappropriate. I apologize to all my viewers out there.
But I love her regardless. You know, we're human. We make mistakes. Gotta
Oh,
live and learn.
getting with Kid Rock is a mistake for just about anybody, I think.
Probably.
So, all right, guys. Well, we're actually running a little shorter than I thought. So, if anybody has any last questions, please let me know, or I'm going to let Miss Harvey go.
Oh,
It's your last chance.
a little thing about Clownado. My husband is in that scene, in that stripper bar scene with me when I'm first
Oh,
introduced.
really?
He's the one that's tipping me the money in my size, my skirt.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I guess that would make him more comfortable than somebody else doing it, but
Sometimes I can rope him into stuff, and sometimes I can't. It just depends on the mood he's in, because he's not into wanting to be an actor as much as I am. But every once in a while, I can get him to do something on the side as like an extra
that's
or
awesome.
something.
So you want to be in my movie when I get to do it?
Oh, I'd love to.
Well, it's going to be all remote location shooting because it's all I'm doing two films, a short film and a feature length. But the
Very
feature
cool.
length, what I want to do is I want to outsource like segments of it. I'm going to write the script and outsource segments of it to different people, and they basically have to film it on their own, and then I'm going to put it all together as one storyline, so we get different takes on each thing.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
So you can come die for me. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to end this here. I hope you all enjoyed it. Once again, I want to thank Miss Dilynn Fawn Harvey for joining me. I thank you so much, ma'am. It has been an absolute pleasure and an absolute honor.
My pleasure as well. Thank you.
Guys, we will see you next month with another one-on-one with BroncoJuggalo. Everybody have a great day and peace.